always a delight to have you on the program. It is another edition of your favorite program, 60 Minutes Nigeria. I'm your anchor, Egosa Agmulao. On today's show, we'll be looking at the gale of defections that hit the National Assembly. It is a development that has generated reactions from the nooks and crannies of this country. And of course, Nigerians in the diaspora are also reacting to the development. It is the political upheaval, that's the way some people say, ahead of the 2019 general election. I have with me a special guest, a former Attorney General of Edo State, Barrister Henry Idahagbon. Nice to have you on the show.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon, viewers. A very wet day in the city.
Very wet day. It's raining cats and dogs in parts of Benin, and that seems to have affected my other guests, but hopefully we have some other guests. They should be able to beat the wet weather and make it to the studio. Okay. Now, 2 days ago, the media was awash with the news of defections at the National Assembly. Senators, 15 senators defected from the ruling APC to the People's Democratic Party. And of course, while that was going on, there was some kind of jubilation in the House of Representatives. Immediately, the Speaker, Dogara, entered the hallowed chamber. We understand that members of the House of Representatives also had their fair share. 37 members of the House of Representatives also defected to the PDP, the ADC, and some other parties. So it appears the democracy in Nigeria is experiencing an interesting dimension. We'll take it from there. Barrister Idahagbon, yes. You are a seasoned politician, a former Attorney General in Edo State, and you know the way politics works. Are you disturbed as a chieftain of the APC?
Well, let me say very clearly that I am not disturbed, neither am I worried. Of course, I'm not enjoying what is happening. I would wish those 15 senators didn't leave our party. I do not belong to the school of thought of party members who says it is good riddance to bad rubbish. Politics is a game of numbers, and every person counts in politics. It is even more so when the person is a senator. A senator is a very high-ranking political position. So I am not happy. If I had my way, they would not leave. But I believe their leaving only means that the party has to work harder before the next presidential or general elections. Okay. In a way, out of every negative situation, out of every bad news, there's some good that will come out of it. Okay. And I believe there are some good that will come out eventually out of these defections. Historically, the party appeared not to have been prepared for governance. Okay. This is a party that did so well as an opposition. They did the job of opposing the ruling party then so well that
in 2015.
In 2015, they went into the record books in Nigeria as the first political party, and President Buhari as the first to sit and incumbent in a free and fair democratic manner, because they did the job of opposition very well. But it appears that after winning, the party wasn't prepared for governance. And one reason is that the technocrats took over instead of politicians, because politics is the same anywhere in the world. It's who get what, when, and how. It's about after winning, you now have to divide the spoils of office. Okay. So the first fundamental mistake made by APC, the repos of which culminated in these deflections on 2 days ago, was not meeting with the members of the National Assembly elect and arranging their officers. It wasn't done by the party, because at that time, the leadership of the party was not vibrant. So, the president not being a politician, he's not a politician, he was a military general, apparently may not have known how it is done. I remember in our state here, as a grassroots politician that I am, who started as secretary of a ward, there are issues we present for the governor, then he will say, no, and we have to sit him down and say, no, that is not the way it is done. Yeah. If you go your own route, this is the end product. But if you go our own route, this is what you will get. I give a practical example. After the primaries in 2007, 2008, during the re-election in Edo State, there was a prominent PDP person that ran for the governorship, didn't get it. And I suggested to the governor, we need to go visit him at home. The governor said, no, I can't visit him at home. And I said, no, you have to visit him at home. Fortunately, as this discussion was going on between the governor and myself, the then chairman of the party, former Speaker Thomas Okosun, walked in. And the governor called him and said, Thomas, look at what Henry is suggesting. We should go and visit this guy at home. Thomas Okosun said, look, Oga, you have to visit him at home. Even if it's in the village, we have to go. Let alone when his house is just a stone throw from government house. Because of that, the governor entered his vehicle, he drove himself and we drove to this fellow's house. And he received that. By the time we left, he congratulated me for bringing the suggestion. We do not have such people playing such role for President Buhari, and that's where this problem is.
Yeah, but let me quickly...
They now allowed
okay.
Saraki, who was conceived, Saraki's conception was done in the political environment.
Okay.
His father, he was conceived in the blood of politics.
Yes.
His father was the first medical doctor from the whole of northern Nigeria, but who abandoned medical practice and became a politician. Not just a politician, a very good one at that.
Okay.
He holds the entire Kwara state in his palm. Even from his grave now, he's still doing it. He's the only man that could produce his son as governor, produce his daughter as senator, produce another daughter as House of Representative member. He did it in Kwara, with the people still following and clapping and supporting. So the man has a vast financial resources, a huge war chest.
Okay.
And he knows how to deploy this war chest.
Okay.
So he deployed it, got the PDP senators to his side, and became the Senate president against the wish of the party, against the wish of the president. What will a seasoned politician do in that circumstance? What you do, you stretch out the only branch, you reach out to him. Because the presidency needs the National Assembly more than the National Assembly needs the presidency.
How do you mean?
I was for the past 1 week, I was in Imo State to conduct their local government, state congress or congresses.
Congress, okay.
You know, in Imo there were some issues, so the party had
they rescheduled Congress, yes.
And I worked with His Excellency Senator Kabiru Gaya, who was governor of Kano State.
Okay.
The same time, our own Chief Oyegu was governor of Edo State.
Okay.
And he told me one thing, that look, during the skirmishes that culminated in Saraki being arraigned in court, that he went to Mr. President and told him, look, Mr. President, I was a former governor. No chief executive can sleep soundly when you are not in tandem with the legislative arm.
Yeah.
That the 2 years I spent as governor, talking to the president now, I was in good relationship and good terms with my House of Assembly members. Mr. President, till today, 27 years after I left as governor, they are all still my friends and political associates. So reach out to these fellows. You ask the question, how come that the president, the executive need the legislature more than the... Firstly, the legislature can remove the executive, the chief executive officer of any state, of any council, of the country.
Okay.
The president now cannot remove the senator from the Senate.
Okay.
He cannot. But the senators have a constitutional power that can remove the president of office. So you need them. And in any case, they are your party members.
Yeah.
You are supposed to be implementing the same programs and policies and manifesto.
Okay.
So if this man was able to get himself to become the Senate president, you reach out to him and bring him to your side and cultivate his friendship. But instead of doing that, the party or the government, they started hunting him from one allegation to the other. I find it inconceivable.
Okay.
You know, his trial for a wrongful declaration, Koda Bureau, fine by me. If he did that, fine by me, although he has been exonerated by the Supreme Court. But I find it inconceivable that a Dr. Bukola Saraki, against his background, governor for 8 years, Senate president for 3 years, will be invited by the police for armed robbery. Armed robbery. It's not possible. We all have political boys who follow us.
Yes.
What they do when they are not with me, how do I account for it?
Exactly.
I have political boys who believe in me. I'm in that TV studio now.
Yes.
If they are robbing in Oluku Ogede, how do you hold me responsible for it? So I believe all these processes were mismanaged because the party appeared not to be prepared for power. The leadership of the party, our father here, perhaps was too old and was too enlightened. Because in Nigerian politics, there is some ruffle involved.
Okay.
There is some ruffle. It is the reality on the ground. If you are too fine boy you are too Igbo speaking. It doesn't work. So I am now supremely confident that with the coming on board of the current governor, things will be straightened out.
Okay, before you go
don't
into
be
that,
deceived.
Yeah, before
don't
you
be deceived by all these.
Okay, before you go into that,
yes,
I wanted to interject.
Yes.
Now, President Buhari contested for the office of the president thrice. Fourth attempt became successful. Then he had to join other parties to form a new party and contest on that platform. Now, a man who has attempted to be president on 3 occasions, you still tell us that he's not a politician?
No, it's not. It's not. Before attempting to be president of Nigeria, did he contest as House of Assembly member? Did he contest as councillor? Did he contest as House of Rep member? Did he contest as senator? Which political party meetings did he participate in? I told you, I started in ago as world secretary. I became local government secretary of the party, APP then. Before I contested, I became council chairman. So he came because of his pedigree, former minister, former governor of a whole region, and then former military head of state. Of course, he's a man with sterling qualities. He was the president of Nigeria, had a very small, minute platform, CPC or the other parties, APP contested from. Of course, he couldn't win. He took the political sagacity and ingenuity of Jagaba of Lagos, Bola Tinubu, to link to that coalition of political parties that eventually gave him the political power. So he's not a politician. And in any case, can you attempt to straighten smoked fish? Smoked fish. They sell in the market.
Yes.
When they are smoking it, they coil it round.
Exactly.
Is it possible to make it straight without breaking?
Very difficult.
The man is a military general. So that military tendency will always be there. But he needs to have around him grassroots politicians to temper that military disposition by giving the appropriate advice. Look, Dogara and Sarah, if he had drawn them together to him himself and had cultivated them, we won't be seeing this deflection of yesterday, of 2 days ago. Look at, for example, Senator Dino Melaye. I'm not his fan. I can even say I don't like him. But with the series of tribulations he's been going through, I'm beginning to see some sense. At least he has been succeeded in giving to Nigerians the phrase, if you talk through or something, you die. If you not talk through, you die. People now say it everywhere. Because for me, he's just a comedian, a clown. But you live in. If you can't cultivate him, you live in. You don't have to hunt him. So the improper management of the party led these senators, led these House of Rep members to be fed. Let me tell you, it would have been worse if the extension had been granted, if the congresses were not conducted, and Oshomole didn't become the national party chairman of the party. Oh, across the country, a lot of people would have there. In our state here, an army of party members were already ready to leave in droves. Many have stayed back now because of the belief they have in Oshomole that he has the capacity to turn things around. Look at the current spat he's having with the Minister for Labour. The president constituted, after we complained that it took almost 2 years for board to be constituted. Then after constituting it, the Minister of Labour refused to inaugurate a board members.
Yeah, but the chairman of the party, is it right for the chairman of the party to threaten a minister?
Every member,
does he have power over a minister?
In party democracy, the national chairman of the party is bigger than the president of the party.
But does he have the constitutional power to sack a minister?
He has no, he can't sack.
Okay.
But he can get him suspended as a party. I was, for 5 years, a member of the National Executive
But you were
Committee.
talking about figures. They need to have more members to the ruling party.
Yes.
So is it right for you to be suspending them and depleting your strength?
When a party member, if no matter how high his position, even if he's a minister, is doing things that causes disenchantment amongst party members, it's a simple thing. Ngige was not the person that worked hardest for the party in Imo State. I can bet you there are people. I worked harder for President Buhari than the minister from Edo State, Dr. Ihanire. I'm sure apart from his vote and a few of the family members, Dr. Ihanire cannot muster 100 votes from anywhere in Edo State.
We can't substantiate that now because he's not here.
This is political.
We can't substantiate that.
Okay. My brother, I know the role I played.
Okay.
And I'm saying with all sense of humility, today in Edo South Senatorial District, I can call the army out.
Figure.
Okay.
Now let's come back to our topic.
Let's finish this point.
Yes.
And now you became a minister. Those who work very hard at home, no form of political patronage whatsoever.
Okay.
And then some of them are even appointed into board positions. You will refuse because people are angry.
Yeah.
And one of the reasons why many of the politicians are angry is that many of them have been neglected. They have been no politician wants to be neglected. No politician wants to be forgotten.
Okay.
Because if you are neglected, you are forgotten for 3-4 years, you become irrelevant. To be relevant, you must be constantly on the stage.
Okay.
And that's why especially many of us,
Okay.
they don't have second addresses. They don't have any business they do. They are not professionals. And then you become a minister. When the president approves the constitution of the board today, the next week you swear the in.
Yeah, but
and give relevance to those people.
yeah, as a way of clarification,
Yes.
Ngige has already spoken.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, he said some of the boards have been inaugurated.
Yes.
Yes. The only one left, which of course generated these issues, he said there's issue of graft, there's issue of corruption, there's issue of somebody removing 5 billion without vouchers, and I needed to correct that. And he has also added now that the matter has been presented to the FCC. So don't you think she should be given the benefit of the doubt?
Do you need, my brother, 6 months to correct it?
Okay, well, that's another issue for another day.
Too slowly.
Yes,
Speed.
it's another issue for another day.
If I'm a minister and there's somebody we grab in the board under my minister, I go to Mr. President, Mr. Agmalao has grafted, should God forbid that it is you.
Yes.
Please, we need to change him. Let's change him with this, my brother here. And then you go and swear them in.
Okay.
You have to be proactive. These people are not proactive. They are too laid back.
Okay.
And that is one of the fundamental causes of the situation we have on ground today. They are too laid back.
Barrister Dagbon, as we speak, I understand that from the grapevine, other members of the House of Representatives and more senators might defect. Have you heard that?
Well, I came from Abuja yesterday.
Okay.
And I want to tell you the situation, even though green, is not as bad as people think.
Okay.
Of the 15 senators who left, 3 of them have come back. They have said they didn't leave. They have come back. And I can tell you for free.
Senate is on recess, so
Yes.
we can't really get that officially.
They went to Aso Rock to go and
See the
pledge
president.
allegiance with the president, to the president.
You can hold meeting with the president, but that does not mean
No,
that officially
I know.
you have changed your
When
position.
the Senate reconvenes by
Okay.
September 25th or so,
Yes.
you will see these 3, they will take back their former seats. We also have senators from PDP who want to come. And I know that the party now, that's why I said some good may come out of all these first set of people who left.
Defections, yeah.
The party now is working day and night, working around the clock to try and reach other. Politics is a game of give and take.
Okay.
Some of them left because they've been emasculated by the governors of their states who have turned themselves to thick gods. Don't forget, these people want to bring governors to power. And after they get to power, imagine one of the senators who left, Senator Ajimobi, who is governor of Ogun State, told him in a public function, you won't come back again. Is it for the governor to tell a senator that he won't come back again? It is for the members of it is for the electorate, the voters. And so, if I were in the shoe of that senator, I would do exactly what he has done. Because you cannot tell him in a public place, not in a political caucus meeting, oh, my brother, you have gone to the Senate twice, we need to replace you with our brother from the other part of the senatorial district. Okay, what will happen to me? Okay, we can propose it for a ministerial position or board chairman, federal board chairman, or something like that. You come to a public function and you tell a serving senator that you will not come back. The man will fight back with everything he has got. And one of the most potent weapons available to him, unfortunately, in our country, is to leave your party and go to another party. If or not here, the senator may not even be relevant in his constituency, but at least he's making waves. He's news all over the world. Because it's a big deal for a senator to leave his political party and join another political party. So that is the point. So I know that the party leadership is reaching out to them now, both the senators, both the House of Rep members, to find out what the issues are in their respective states.
But is it not too late? Because we understand that a faction of the APC emerged.
Yes.
The ROAPC.
Yes.
And we also heard that the NPDP at a time cried out. That's a block within the APC. Now, don't you think that it's too late now? Because defections have started. They cried out and nothing was done.
Yeah, you see, NPDC is synonymous with Olusegun Saraki. The national chairman of New PDP is Abubakar Barau Baraje. is the Saraki is his alter ego. So it's synonymous with Saraki. And the bulk of them are those who left the party 2 days ago. For the ROAPC, I said on this program some couple of weeks ago when they just recently created their own faction, that they have a point and the party should listen to them. They should not be dismissed with a wave of the hand. They have points. They are not all 100% correct. Some of their points are outlandish, outrageous, but some of their points, there's sense in it, and they should be called and negotiated with. Politics is about negotiation. You must be ready to negotiate. It's give and take. Quid pro quo. You listen to the man, he's making demands for 10 issues, and then you offer 3. So 3 is not enough, you give 4. Maybe at the end of the day, we accept 5, and you remain in one boat. So, I believe it is not too late. We still have almost 6 months to the next general elections.
Yes.
6 months. Next general election is in February. So we have time. Thank God this is not happening. If it was happening in November, December, I will agree with you, it is too late. We still have the whole of August, September, November, October, December to resolve our issues. And I believe, I have confidence in the new leadership of the party because it is active, it is proactive. Unlike the leadership is succeeded, that was docile.
Now, the president has already reacted. The president believes that what is happening now is normal. Events expected before an election. The 2019 election is fast approaching, and President Buhari has already said, well, he wished the defectors well, and that whatever is happening now, members should be calm because he believes that these are some of the activities that must happen before an election. Do you agree with Mr. President?
It is true. We are seeing history repeating itself, repeating itself in the country.
Okay.
In 2015, almost the same dramatic personality.
Okay.
Saraki, maybe the only person out there now is Amechi. You know, they led the gale of.
Amechi is the DG of the campaign for Buhari.
Yeah, but then he was PDP, and he led the gale of governors who decamped from the PDP to the ACN then.
Okay.
And then Saraki also led senators who decamped to the ACN. So we are seeing history repeating itself. If you look, if somebody showed on social media 2 days ago, or was it yesterday, he brought out a quotation of Dino Melaye when he was leaving PDP.
Okay.
That he is like vomit, I won't go back to my vomit and all that. The man has gone back there now. I don't begrudge him. Honestly, I believe Dino Melaye was hounded out of the party by his state governor, Yaya Bello, who is supposed to be the youngest governor in the whole country. I don't see why a governor should engage in altercation with a senator. Your job description are completely different. You are governor, you are to execute policies and programs for the benefit of your state. The senator is to make law at the federal level and help to attract federal presence to his senatorial district. Yeah. So there should be no conflict. When you are from the same party, you should behave like brothers. So I believe the man was hounded by the erratic disposition and governance style of Yaya Bello. But if we had an effective party leadership, the type of Oshomole, I know as a fact, and I can testify to it, that Oshomole and Ngige, they are the best of friends. They are very, very close. So for Oshomole to talk to Ngige the way he did means he's prepared to step on any toe that will act as a clog in the victory of the party as well as the party in the next general election. So if we had a solid party, Yaya Bello should have been called to order 3 years ago to accommodate senators from his state and be friends with them. I've had the privilege of serving in government. When senators come in, they have fun, they eat, they do everything with the governor. When they are going, they even tell the governor, oh, you have to give us money to go back to buy ticket. And the governor gives them money. They are not that they are saying they don't have money to buy their ticket, but to show the level of relationship that they have. But a situation where the senator cannot enter his state, and you are from the same political party, even when you are from different political party, it should not be tolerated. It should not. Senator from another political party should be able to have access to his state, to members of the constituency, to a senatorial district, just like any citizen is. Because this is democracy.
We've just heard of a disturbing news now regarding Senator Dino Melaye. Just as we are discussing, we need to talk about it on the Twitter handle of Morris Bruce, a senator, that Senator Dino Melaye has been abducted. We need to get, it's still sketchy, information about that is still sketchy, but that's what we heard. Just as you're talking about
I pray it is not true.
Okay.
And I pray no harm comes to him.
Okay.
He's a young man, apparently young man. Maybe too young for the high responsibility of being a senator. But the reality is, he's a senator. And he's been able to bring some fun into the red chambers. His appearance, his mannerism brings some comic relief to the otherwise serious men of the Senate. And he should be tolerated for who he is. We are all created differently by God. We cannot behave the same way. So I pray nothing serious, nothing fatal happens to Senator Dino Melaye.
Okay, before we continue the program, let's just update you or refresh you rather for the defection in the House of Representatives. A total of 37 members of the House of Representatives announced their official defection from the ruling APC to other parties. This is coming after 15 APC senators decamped to the PDP in the defection letter read by the Speaker, Yakubu Dogara. The lawmakers cited fictionalization, division of the party as the reason for leaving. The defectors include 33 lawmakers from Kano, Sokoto, Kwara, Kogi, and other states who defected from the APC to the opposition People's Democratic Party. The 4 others are from Oyo State, who defected from the APC to the African Democratic Congress. The defection, which threw the plenary into commotion, was announced by the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara. All attempts by the Speaker to restore normalcy to the House have approved abortive as members of both parties engaged in shouting bouts. Meanwhile, the Speaker of the House of Representatives, Yakubu Dogara, described the commotion as the beauty of democracy. Barrister Dagbo, is this the beauty of democracy? Now ADC can boast of having members in the House of Rep. Some parties that didn't really have presence in the National Assembly, because of these defections, they cannot boast that they also have representation. Is this beauty of democracy?
Well, it is beauty of democracy, the Nigerian style. We borrowed our presidential system of government from the United States of America.
Okay.
You practically have a bipolar personality as the president of America now, Donald Trump.
Okay.
Bipolar because he has two different personalities, two personalities that are diametrically opposed. One moment is the great guy, one moment is the mad guy. We have had members of the Republican Party, same party President Donald Trump, coming out, senators, rep members coming out to criticize him, to distance themselves from his policies and programs. But none has left. None has left from the Republican Party to the Democratic Party. But unfortunately in Nigeria, the campaign seems to be ingrained aspect or ingredient in our democratic belief. So it is the beauty of democracy. It there behoves, and unfortunately, this campaign has been given constitutional and legal imprimatur. It is legal to move. All you have to show is that there is a division in your political party. The Republican Party, they have divisions. They have different differences. They have the conservative, they have the ultra-conservative, they have different sections in the conservative party, the Republican Party in America. But that is not a legal basis for you to leave from one party to the other. You see, talking about Saraki again, and the reason why I say technocrats who do not know how to manage grassroots politics took over the party and they almost killed the party. My humble self, I was the chairman of the screening committee that screened all legislative officers in Kwara State. Starting from Saraki, I screened him. This Senate president appeared before me as I was not just the screening person who screened, it was a 7-member committee of it. I was the chairman. I screened him. I screened the Senator Senator Shaba Lafiagi, who is also a former governor of Kwara State. In Kwara, Saraki buys the form of all persons contesting for positions. He buys the form and he keeps it in his house. Then all the stakeholders, they will have meetings, they will agree. Agmola, you will be senator representing North. That my brother there only representing South. Saraki are representing Central. House of Assembly. The current speaker of the Kwara State House of Assembly was a member, in fact, a member of the House of Representatives and chairman House Committee on Judiciary. He has PhD in law. He was called to come back from the House of Representatives to come and contest House of Assembly, and they made him speaker. So this is a man that is in charge. Senator Shagba Alafi-Agi is old enough to give birth to Bukola Saraki. He defected because he was governor before Saraki. I'm sure when he was governor of Kwara State, Saraki was probably undergoing medical studies in the United Kingdom. But he today regards Saraki as his leader. I don't know if you've been to his house. Of course, his father's house, which he inherited now. When I went to do his screening, and I've had the opportunity of going there severally before that time, he asked that I should be brought from my government guest house to his house by 2 a.m. in the morning. 2 a.m. Imagine this. There's no politician in Edo State that can command the kind of loyalty that this man is commanding. When I got to the place by 2 a.m., our vehicle managed to drive on the street where the house is located. You know why? The street was clogged by both human and vehicular traffic. By 2 a.m., people were sitting down at the center of the road, waiting to have their turn to meet with Oloye. That's his father's title, and that's not what they call him. By the time we struggled to get to close to his house, unlike our house is here where you fence, I fence, and I walk, open house. To walk to the room where he was problem, because they don't have chairs in their living room. They sit on the floor, and human beings were sitting everywhere. So we had to be raising our legs to be able to get to the living room where he was sitting with people. He was the only one sitting on chair. Everybody was sitting on the floor. And immediately they introduced me. Oh, he stood up and took me to a small office with the party chairman that brought me and the secretary of my committee to be able to.
So the point you're making is that this man is
in control. Okay. He's in control of the politics of that state. Yeah. And he does it. He learned it from his father. And one way of doing it is you have to be a cheerful giver as a politician. Yes. I'll tell you an incident that happened with his father when he was our leader in APP. We went from Benin to visit him in Ilorin. And while in his living room, news came that the state woman leader of APP then had just lost the husband. You know they are Muslims. Yeah. Once they die, they immediately bury. Yeah. So Saraki said, we must go quickly to go and visit the woman. And then we jumped into the car. We got there, of course, you know a woman, she was wailing. Hey, Baba Sikira, oh. Yeah. And then they tried to console the woman. And then the woman calmed down a bit. After we sat for like 10 minutes, they asked us, now look, how much do we give to this woman now? This was, I'm talking of 2001. So for me, as a council chairman then, for me, 100,000 was big money. So we suggested something like 100,000. He said, no, 100,000, no. He just called his PA, they should go and bring 1 million from his car. They brought 1 million, he put it on the ground, told the woman, this is 1 million, this will take care of burial expenses and entertainment of guests for today. The woman that was wailing when we came in, she was saying, oh no, thank you. The wailing stopped. Yeah. It was the 1 million, of course, that stopped that.
So that's the political interest.
Of course, okay. Now, when you juxtapose this, you juxtapose this with the opponents of Saraki, who you will go and visit. I came into the studio very thirsty. And when I met this water, is this water for me? And I started drinking. You will go and visit his political opponents. They will not even offer you water to drink. And here is a Bukola Saraki that's prepared. If the problem that brought it to him is 10 million, he will give you 30 million of it. Then you know you are fighting somebody. You should not allow such a person to be against you. But rather, you should let him be in the same boat with you.
Yes, it is the second part of our discussion. And while we have dissected what transpired in the National Assembly, the defection of the senators, as well as defection of members of the House of Representatives, we thought it would end at that. Only yesterday, the governor of Benue State, Governor Otham, was forced, according to reports that we got, that he was actually on his way to attend a meeting with the leadership of the APC where issues expected to have been resolved. On his way, he was stopped by youths, by party or loyalists to the governor, who insisted that he must remain in Benue, he shouldn't leave for that meeting. And before we knew what was happening, the governor in a meeting announced his defection to the PDP. Barrister Dagbo,
yes.
Another very dramatic twist to the scenario. Benue, a case study. Were you surprised with the decision of Governor Otham?
Look, we saw it coming. Governor Otham is a confused fellow. Confused. Some weeks ago, he said, oh, it's true with the APC, is withdrawing his membership. 3 days later, I was with the national chairman of the APC in Abuja saying he never said so, even though he was quoted. And let me tell you, members of the public should not be deceived by that video clip or the news item that use of Benue, Makurdi, prevented him from going to attend the APC meeting. Look, my brother, I'm a politician. This has been my business since 1998. We easily organize things like this. Very easy.
Okay, thank you, Barrister
His chief of staff or secretary to the state government, we just call their youth leaders around Makurdi.
Okay.
Please come with 2,000.
Thank you, Barrister Dagbo. Now, you are going to continue.
Yes.
But let's allow our viewer watch what transpired in Benue.
2 local governments, and then the 13 local government chairmen have unanimously endorsed that my stay in APC local governments, and then the 13 local government chairmen have unanimously endorsed that my stay in APC have expired and I should look for another platform. On that note, I have formally resigned from and so, with your support, and because you have given me a blank check to also nominate a party that we can further fight to ensure justice, equity, and fairness for the people of Benue State. And let me formally announce to you that I'm now going to join the People's Democratic Party.
Viewer to watch what transpired in Benue so they understand exactly your position. So, what's your position?
My position is that I do not buy the idea that the youth I saw there prevented him from going to attend the APC meeting. The man had made up his mind to join the PDP. And if you ask me, he may have very well good grounds, and I will go to that. Because no amount of youth or a crowd can prevent a governor from driving to any destination he earnestly wishes to go to. And that's the point I was trying to make. We have done these things several times before. And I'll give you an example with myself. There was a governorship candidate in this state. And when we learned that the #1 leader was trying to play pranks with his candidacy, he called me and he said, look, call some youth, let them come to my house. The leader will be here in about 1 hour's time. When he comes, embarrass him. All I needed to do, I called the youth leader to Igwarikubaka, please bring me 100 youths. When you come here, you will get your stipends. And they okay. The compound, of course, was not enough to take 300 so somewhere outside. Immediately, the leader vehicle came here, they started as about assault, throwing stones and abusing him. Till today, that leader has refused to forgive me, but he didn't know that I was acting a script given to me by my principal, who was his man. So, for me, those youths who saw there, they were just arranged to come there. They wanted to dramatize it. And why do I say the man may be justified? Instead, Benue State has probably taken the largest brunt of these unwanted killings in our country. That is the truth. If I'm in the shoes, I'll be angry. Especially when the reaction of the federal government has not been swift and prompt. In developed countries, we see it playing out in France now. A bodyguard to the French President Macron assaulted a protester, a labor protester. It became an issue that's almost affecting the presidency. The man has been sacked, and the people say the president didn't react fast enough. So the international standard is that when such a pogrom, when such an avoidable death occur in your country or any part of your country, even if it is one person, a death that could have been avoided, not natural death, the president will cancel whatever appointment, whatever engagement that he has, and fly to the place and commiserate with the people and promise them and put in place measures to avoid a future reoccurrence of such an unwarranted death. Because you can't be president if there are no human beings. You can't be governor if there are no citizens for you to govern. I am the first to say that the response to the Benue killings were very tardy and not fast enough. The last time there was this 200 people or 100 some people killed, the president went there. But you don't even go there a day after. If the program occurred 9 p.m., 10 p.m., okay, you can't go that night. By 8 a.m., you should be there. Your physical presence alone and your denouncing the killers or whoever were the perpetrators goes a long way to help cushion the effect of the loss of the people whose father, mother, children had been killed. Because nobody wants to die, especially in such an unnatural and illegal way. So I believe the man justifiably hungry, but I dare you, call anybody in Benue. They will tell you, this is a governor, 3 years in office, not a borehole has been done. Not a borehole. So if a governor can't do borehole, of course you will know that there will be no roads, there will be no school, there will be no hospital, there is just nothing.
The only problem we have with that is that we don't have is
that's why I say you should call
spokesman to defend Governor Otto. So these are the personal opinion.
Of course, my personal opinion from discussions with people from Benue.
But the issue now is how we can say maybe the APC, your party, they have plans. Do they have plans to stop this defection? Do they have plans to halt it?
The plan started yesterday. Okay. You saw the meeting the president had with the remaining 52 senators. And I told you the 3 amongst those who left, they were there. We have 2 senatorial seats now waiting for re-election. Bauchi and Katsina we will win. Because those are strongholds of the APC. There are strong plans. That's why I said it is one of the good things that will come out from a very bad situation. The party will now take, for the past 4 years, the party are taking the membership for granted. Let me put it that way. Local government level, state level, national level. They took the members for granted. It's like, whatever we do, the members are always there for us. And the members are saying, no, we will not always be there for you if you cannot protect our interests. It's an enterprise. We all came together and said, you should be president. We came together, you should be this. Yeah. When you win, of course, you cannot distribute patronage. I don't belong to the school of thought that you should distribute patronage to all party members, which is even not possible. If you are doing good things, if you are doing roads, you are solving our problems. Of course, by indirectly, you are distributing patronage to the party members and beyond. Because politics, I belong to the utilitarian school of politics. Okay. You do the greatest good to the greatest number of persons. Okay. But there are basic minimum things that you have to do for the people. You have to be accessible. When they have complaints, they have problems, the president should be there for them. Especially at the senatorial level, House of Representative level, they should not need anybody to be able to go to the president. I saw your news scroll now. You mentioned it before about Senator Dino Melaye's abduction in Abuja. Thank God it's not in Kogi. But in a democracy, a serving senator should not be abducted in broad daylight in the Federal Capital Territory. He should not. Because he should have his complement of security officers that should go with him. So I believe that the party, under the able leadership of the new chairman, very vibrant, very active, realizes that the party are taking the membership for granted for too long and is beginning to reach out to the members and telling them, allowing them to ventilate their grievances. And like I said earlier on, I just came back from Owerri. Yeah. I saw something dramatic and interesting in Owerri, and I don't think it is in any other part of Nigeria. There is a square very close to Government House called, I think is the People's Square.
Okay, Heroes something.
No, Hero Square is different.
Okay, yeah.
The Hero Square, that's where you have all the statue.
Yeah.
And we ask all the reasons for the statue. I saw the controversial Zuma statue.
Okay.
So the the People's Square is like a small stadium built by the government where people are allowed to come between 9 a.m. and 12 noon every Friday. The governor will be seated with commissioners and government officials, and the governor will drop his immunity, and the people will be allowed to ask questions and abuse him. They abuse 9 to 12. Some will say, Okorocha, you are a thief, you did this, you did it. In fact, I told us one day, somebody stood up and said, you stole my land in the village. They abuse, they are free. You must give people opportunity. The point I'm trying to make, ventilate their anger. Okay. There have been a lot of bottled up emotions in the All People's Congress these past 3 years. A lot of party members are angry, and they didn't have any opportunity to ventilate this anger. But the new leadership of the party has afforded them this opportunity now. What is your, why are you angry? They tell them, oh, we've been neglected, we'll not be taken. Okay, fine. Who neglected you? Okay, is he your senator, is he your governor? Okay. But we talk to your governor and see how many more people can be integrated into the process. That is the way it is. That is the reality on ground. If you take these people for granted and you think they cannot do something, or they can do nothing, they will end up doing something. Because when the chiefs are down, when it is time to vote in February, President Buhari will not come to my polling unit in Ewotubu Market Unit 9 and 10. Aheri Dagbo will be there. And when I'm there, because it is my village, it is my polling booth, I was a former council chairman, they regard me as one of the leaders of the community. It is whichever way I say they should vote that they will vote. That is the truth.
Okay.
So when I do my own, you do your own, everybody here, they do their own. That's how we bring the votes to the central to be counted, and you will be declared winner. Then after being declared winner, then you say, oh, we can go to hell? Hell no, we ain't going to no hell. We will wait for you.
Okay, I hope you are enjoying the discussion, and I hope you are enjoying the program. 60 Minutes Nigeria with Barrister Henry Dagbo. Before we let him go, we need to revisit what transpired before the 2015 presidential election that Nigerians witnessed an incumbent being removed from office through the ballot papers. Okay, now, Barrister Dagbo, before 2015, Nigerians witnessed defections of governors, defections of senators, and that led to the removal of the president in the election. The president lost and Buhari won. Now, before the 2019 election, Nigerians are witnessing again defections. Do you think President Buhari will lose the 2019 election?
No, my answer is very categorical. He will not. You know why? Because of the re-engineering of the party. If the new leadership that is currently there in the party was not brought in 6 weeks ago, of course he would have lost. He would have lost. But with the re-engineering of the party now, and with the sleepless night the party leadership is putting into getting everybody back on board.
We understand that other defections are in the office.
Yes, I'm aware. I'm aware, and efforts are being made to prevent those defections.
If they refuse to listen.
If they refuse to listen, yes, they will go. There's another thing working in favor of the president. The entire northern zone, the three regions in the north, he will still get majority of the votes from there. The Jagaban himself, Bola Tinubu, will deliver from the southwest. So all we need is a couple of votes here and there in the states of the south, south and the southeast, and we'll be home and dry. And I won't tell you now because it is not proper. It's our party's trade secret. Okay. We also have very popular members of the PDP who are also coming. So just as some, it's not a one-way traffic. Okay. It's not a one-way traffic at all. It's a two-way traffic. Some are coming to the APC, while some are going to the PDP. So I believe that in spite, I would wish that there was no decamping, no defections. Okay. But it has happened, it's the reality, we have to live with it. What we have to do moving forward is to stem it, to ensure that there are no other ones. and then to try and get those who are so interested in coming from APC, I mean from PDP to APC. And two, you can't compare President Jonathan to President Buhari. You cannot. I may not elucidate beyond that point.
Okay.
So let nobody think that because there are defections now, Buhari will also lose. No, Buhari will not lose, he will win. Our prayer for him, after winning, let him try and rejig the economy and bring succor to many more Nigerians. The economic recession has badly affected everybody I know in this country. That is the truth. But I read something profound on the social media this morning when I woke up. One of the platforms that I belong to in town here. A literate person was driving through Boronu, and because of the road construction going on, they had to make a detour through some internal roads. They lost their way. They called a local person, probably not educated outside man, and they said he should escort them back to the highway after the section that was being fixed. Inside the car, they now engage this illiterate outside man in a conversation. How do you see Nigeria? The man said, oh, everywhere is very tough. Everywhere there's no money, bad goodie and all that. But that's okay. Will you vote for President Boy? Said, the man said, yes, I'll vote for him. I said, you said there's no economy is bad, no money. Is it not Buhari the cause? Why will you vote for him? The man said, Buhari may be the cause. But he asked a profound question that has been troubling me in my head since morning. He said, look, can you blame the bone setter for the pains you get when he's trying to fix your broken leg?
Mr. Dagmo, we must thank you for being a part of
We must thank you for being a part of today's program. You should blame the guy who broke your leg and not the bone setter. Yeah, for the process of setting the bone, yes. Of course there must be pain.
Okay, so because of time, we thank you for being a part of today's show.
Thank you very much, my brother.
We hope to have you again.
Thank you.
And I believe that our viewer out there, you've enjoyed today's edition of the program, 60 Minutes Nigeria. If you did enjoy the program, keep a date with me next week, another national issue on the program, and of course, discussants who will dissect such issues. My name is Ego Sagbalao. Have a wonderful weekend ahead. Bye-bye.